We've used our power, and in this budget, we've delivered on dental care, starting with children under 12. We're proud of that. We know that so many Canadians don't have coverage and haven't taken care of their teeth. And when we spoke to a number of people, we've heard their stories and how this would be life-changing for them. We also know that people are struggling with the cost of living, particularly with housing. So another priority of ours in the agreement, we used our power to get more help to Canadians to find a home that they can afford. And we see that reflected in the budget with concrete steps that would not have been there but for the fact that we forced the government to deliver and we used our power to get people this help. We still have critiques and criticisms. We're concerned, deeply concerned about the approach on the environment, particularly the carbon capture, which there's lots of concerns around whether that is effective or not. But the idea of giving more subsidies to fossil fuel companies that are profitable is the wrong approach. We should use public dollars to invest in workers and in just transition, real jobs for workers, as well as investing in clean energy, and that's not there. We also see that with healthcare, we want to see investments in a transfer so that we defend our public healthcare system. So those are critiques as well, and we'll continue to fight for Canadians.
Three things that Conservatives were looking for in the budget today. First of all, we were looking for controlled spending, which would in turn control inflation. Secondly, we were looking for tax breaks for Canadians. Canadians have been suffering greatly because of inflation and the high cost of everything, and they deserve a break. And so we've been asking for tax breaks for Canadians. Thirdly, we wanted to see some substantial programs or solutions to address the housing inflation crisis, specifically housing stock. What did we see and what are we seeing in this NDP Liberal budget? Well, we are seeing out-of-control spending, no plan for long-term growth or productivity. We are seeing taxes go up, which in the end, Canadians, everyday Canadians, will be paying for. And we're seeing a housing program announced, as in typical Liberal fashion, that will actually result in not one house built or one house purchased this year. It is an irresponsible budget. It is a typical classic NDP spend and tax budget.
What we think about in terms of climate policy, this was a huge disappointment, especially after the approval of Baie du Nord yesterday, that there aren't measures to make up for this. And we see instead just really investment in the fossil fuel industry. And when we're looking for something, we're looking for measures across the board, saying every single area of policy should have something addressing climate. And this is why I'm really disappointed about public transit. Something like that is a policy that's necessary. And sure, there's a huge section on electric vehicles, but that in itself is a decision about the type of society that we're building through the climate emergency. And as we've said many times, net zero is not sufficient. We do not hit our Paris targets of 1.5 degrees with a net zero plan. And so we're just plainly not satisfied with the climate parts of this budget.